Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Team Avtar, it's actually my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to the panel discussion titled Skilling, Upskilling, and Reskilling. Construct your own growth engine. This is going to be a very important topic in today's context of the career that we are all trying to build, the careers that we really want to create for ourselves. And within the context of the job fair, or we are all trying to sort of pivot our career, look at for better opportunities for growth, and hence this entire aspect of skilling becomes very crucial and important for us. And within this particular context, we have some two great leaders who are actually here going to talk about us. People who have done considerable work in the entire aspect of talent development, talent management, and more specifically in the area of learning and development and training. So it'd be absolutely amazing to hear from them, their thoughts, their perspectives in terms of how we can really prepare ourselves for our career growth, for ourselves in terms of looking at the new opportunities that are emerging in the market today. In this, and today we are really seeing the technology advancement and various advancement that is happening. Right, we are talking about digitization and various other things that is there. There is a huge opportunity for people with to have certain new skills that they're able to build for them, and therefore that really helps them to prepare for their growth is something that we're really going to look in this particular panel. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Anshumala Srivastav, regional business partner at Vestas. She has more than 17 years of experience in various facets of human resources as HR business partner, driving talent management, talent development, and talent acquisition. She's also very passionate in terms of delivering and developing and promoting all-round development of talent, and very keen interest in the entire aspect of diversity and inclusion. So it's a pleasure having you, Anshumala. She is also a Hogan Global Smart and Psychometric Certified Professional. So it's going to be, I think, great listening to her, hearing her perspectives. So that's something that we are really looking forward to, Anshumala. So thanks a lot for joining us. We also have Michael Fernandes, Director L&OD from CRISIL. Michael leads the entire corporate learning and organization development function at CRISIL. It includes L&D, talent management, organization effectiveness, and performance management. As I said, we have some two great professionals who are just not into L&D, but are also looking at the entire talent management perspective on the spectrum, sharing their thoughts. His industry and consulting experience spans learning, talent, OD, performance and rewards, change management as well. Is an alumnus of XLRI and Gallup certified strengths coach. So I think again, welcome, Michael. It's going to be great pleasure listening to you today, and I'm sure it is going to be a great learning opportunity. Before I really actually start, taking your views and perspective this entire important topic, I thought it'll also be good to share some data and some insights in terms of how the entire is actually focus on skilling is there, right? As per the World Economic Forum report, it actually talks about the close to half the population of, when I say using the word of people that are currently in the workforce, would really need some sort of skilling of the employee base, right? The workforce needs some sort of skilling by 2025, because the fact that we spoke about the various advancement that is happening, right? The new industries, new segments that are really going, and that's a huge thing that we're really talking about. So one of the things that, how are we really going to gear up to that entire aspect of skilling? Another very important data point that we really need to keep in mind is that this entire aspect of skilling, and if you're able to close the skill gap, right, it can actually contribute to $5 trillion in global GDP by 2030. So it's another very important thing. Therefore, skilling becomes very, very important, right? Just not for organizations, but the overall from a country perspective and also from the a global perspective. That's another very important thing that we really need to look at. There is also a very important data, which actually talks about the aspect of skilling can create huge job opportunities, new job opportunities, right? So that's another huge data that we're really looking at. And I think if I remember, one of the data that really talks about is in terms of contributing to millions and millions of new jobs potential that are there. And therefore, people really need to look at, sort of skill themselves, even looking at pivoting themselves to new careers, right? So this is something that is there. Another important point that is actually coming up front, this entire aspect of COVID, right, really actually spurred the entire thing in terms of digitization and automation, with all the remote and hybrid working that is coming into play. And therefore, it is just not about technical skills, but also about skills in terms of acclimatizing and ability to work in this new environment, right? So skills training, when you talk about skilling, it is not necessarily to with technical, right? It's just not about knowledge, but your own attitude and aptitude towards in this new environment is something that's also be a core focus. Adapting, and again, when we are also talking about this entire aspect of diversity and inclusion, our ability to work in this diverse world, our ability to be inclusive also becomes entire aspect of skilling that we're really talking about. So this is a little bit of a context I just want to set before we actually start off this conversation. And I would like to start with you, Anshumala, in terms of, as a person who is in the space of talent management and talent development, how do you see this entire aspect of skilling? And it's no more about skilling, it's we are also talking about reskilling, we're also talking about upskilling. Happy to hear from you your own perspectives, Anshumala, on this.
Yeah. So, Karthik, thank you for the warm welcome for us. Coming to skilling and upskilling, in my perspective, it is ongoing process. It's about change management. It's about adaptability, right? And this window gives us a more opportunity to learn and grow in the organization, right?
Okay.
And which also meets our aspiration and motivation. So if you see currently, it's the technology driven scenarios, right? And as the technology grows, we need to upskill ourselves. Upskills are functional and behavioral competencies, right? So I see as my perspective that it's an ongoing learning phase, which is something which any individual should thrive for it, right?
Okay.
To grow in the organization, learn and grow. So that is my perspective, Karthik, in this regards.
Thank you, Anshumala. I think that's a good start in terms of the importance of this entire aspect of skilling, and the constant continuous learning is very important to each one of us. Michael, your opening thoughts on this very important topic, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Karthik, for the invitation. Privileged to be here. I think skilling, reskilling, upskilling is so fundamental to who we are as persons, because it's not about what we deliver, but who we become. As we encounter the challenges of the workplace, as we have avenues to deliver, to excel, and to grow, each one of us is developing and increasing as persons. We are fulfilling our potential, and it's really a life experience, isn't it? I remember way back in college there was some program, Learning for Life, and the workplace offers continuous opportunities for learning. And I think, as Anshumala referred to, I think there's an important place for attitude, right? I can be blocked or I can be open. I can have a sense of entitlement or I can have a sense of service, and I'm here to contribute and make a difference. And I think this attitude is very fundamental to the whole discussion of skilling, upskilling, reskilling.
Okay, excellent point. And in fact, something that struck me while you spoke about this, one thing, the attitude becomes very important, right? The aptitude to learn, keep yourself updated, keep yourself progressing is very important. I, in fact, wanted to ask you, Michael, you mentioned one aspect of it. What we want, what we become, what we want to become is going to be one important thing, because I think this is what really going to sort of channelize your energy in terms of the way that you really want to feel, the kind of skills that you want to build. Your thoughts on how do you approach this, Michael? I think that is going to be one important key for everyone here. One is just not about doing any course, right? You need to, for example, have some sort of a thought process. What is my aim? What is that I want to become? This is where I am. How any thoughts on this? What would be advice to our participants in the job fair, Michael?
Yeah, so Karthik, my advice to participants would be to think big and connect with people who see a larger vision and a picture for them. It could be a family member, it could be a professor, it could be a peer who is a little more advanced or broad thinking. What comes to mind is the example, a true example shared by an outstanding HR leader in the country today. I can't name him without his permission, but he shared this with me, and I'm sure with many others. Coming from an underprivileged, financially underprivileged family, and would virtually be on the footpath, yeah, and he would see cars passing. And his grandmother had a great influence in his life. And one day asked him, "You see these cars? Would you like to be in them?" So he said, "Yeah, one day I'd like to be in a car like that." So he said, "Maybe a taxi." She said, "No, you'd be in a car and you'd be the driver. You're not going to be in a taxi." And that struck him. Yeah, and that's a simple example of a vision. And today he's one of the eminent HR leaders in the country. Yeah. So I think the first thing is connect with people who have a larger vision, who can encourage you. The second would be to connect with people who have practical inputs to help you reflect on who you are and what is your personhood, what is your potential, what are your likes and dislikes, what are your strengths and weaknesses. That inner exploration is extremely important, because we are so fixated on, this is a well-paying job, that is very prestigious, this is very hep, or that. But it's about me. What am I going to be good at? What would give me fulfillment? So that's the second. The first would be connect with people with vision. The second would be go to people who can offer you practical inputs that will
Okay.
help you understand yourself better.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the
Yes.
workplace, Karthik, to close out, we have people managers who are trained in career coaching skills, let's say within CRISIL. And last year, we started talking about strengths-based career coaching, not just career coaching. But a manager needs to help you identify your strengths, play to your strengths, you develop in your strength area, and of course, you develop in your weaknesses and gaps, but don't get fixated on your gaps. You can't build a career on your weaknesses by managing your weaknesses. You build a career by understanding your strengths and playing to your strengths.
Yeah. So I completely resonate that with you, Michael, because the development starts with me, the learning starts with me, right? And where do we see some gaps, right? Taking constructive feedbacks from people through connecting with people, right? And if those gaps are there, take it as a positive sign, right? And work around those gaps. So it's about behavioral, it's about functional, and it could be your attitude to grasp it and take it further for your career development, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you both in terms of sharing your perspective, and in terms
Yeah.
of Michael, you mentioned about the connecting people, connect with good people, the right people is very appropriate, important in terms of and therefore you are able to get the right kind of learnings, right? And the entire aspect that helps you build the vision for your future, and how then your entire aspect of growing your skills is aligned to the vision that you really want to. Great points, Michael. Anshumala, one, in fact, I want to ask you is how have you done this in your life as a leader, as a person, right?
Yeah.
Anshu, can you just share some of your own personal perspectives, Anshu? How have you approached this in your own
Yes.
life?
So yes, thank you for this question. And I really appreciate that this question comes to be because being a woman, I take pride to be a woman, and considering that facts, right? It is not easy that we take all the learnings, right? It all depends upon the different situations we are into. The main aspect is the prioritization. How do I prioritize my learnings, my developments, right? And which situation we are into. It could be related to the job, it could be related to the teams what I am managing, right? Or it could be something wherein my prioritization is going towards my family needs, or it could be my health, right? But what I see as a woman leader, I have prioritized few things in my life wherein I put myself to be a very focused person on my development, right? Given an example, I could say that recently I was, Globe Smart Profile certified, and I was able to do it just because we have an offering wherein it could be a self-paced learning and also some of the virtual learnings, right? And I was able to manage my priorities, and I was able to sacrifice some of my personal time, and I could dedicate myself into these trainings. So it's a combination of things, that how do you prioritize. So I have been prioritizing. I started with a kind of consulting experience, but I also felt it now. I have to upskill myself, getting a different competencies. I have come out of the comfort zone. I have taken that as a challenge to have these learnings in my career and grown up the ladder. So
Yeah.
and for sure, Karthik, I would also like to thank my spouse who supports me in this journey. I think family are the key factors who supports in our career to go further. Yeah.
Absolutely, Anshumala. And I think it nicely links to what Michael said in terms of one, you have your vision, and today there's a plethora of opportunities for you to do, and right, you could, but you need to prioritize what is that important to you. You can do 10 things, right? You
Yeah.
can actually, focus on 10 skills, right? 10 programs, but you also need to prioritize, in terms of what is that you want to do. And I think, and the perspective that we nicely shared on Shumala, I think there is this still in India, that's the difference, right? When you come up, when you talk about men, their career, and women and their career, and I think and we need to be very honest about it. There are priorities for women specifically. That's the family responsibility is still one of the primary, and not stereotyping, but it is there, right? And therefore the priorities becomes even that much more important, and therefore you really need to. And I think another one that you really talked about, Anshu, is about the family support. I think it's also just all the stakeholders, both within the family and within the organization, are this, how do you build allies who can support you, because while you're working, you're also doing various other things, and at the same time you're also, it's a time that you need to, with skilling is not easy, right? You need to put that extra
Yeah.
time, right? And therefore you also need people, allies, to really support you, and that is something I think really need to work on. I think great points, Anshumala, on those. Michael, back to you. In a sense, I thought, sticking on this think of skilling for women at CRISIL, Michael, and how do you do this? How do you support your women in terms of helping them move the organization ladder, Michael?
Okay, thank you for that question. Well, CRISIL is very passionate about being a very inclusive organization for ever since it's been around, really. And the emphasis just keeps increasing. Incidentally, two of our CEOs have been women for long spans of time. Maybe if I add them up, maybe 13 years. Yeah. So, and we have found that women are as capable and they bring their own gifts and abilities into a corporate situation. So, if I can kind of quickly run through a few things that we do. First of all, we have set ourselves a people metric that we would like to have 30% of our managers to be women. And that's something that is tracked in the balance scorecard. It's there in the goal sheets of leaders. How are we doing against that? Secondly, we've partnered with diversity and inclusive recruitment agencies to help us get the right type of candidates. Thirdly, we have educated or sensitized hiring managers who go to campuses, so they understand, what are the key and essential attributes, and not get distracted or not, have their own limitations, saying, this is a hard job, it requires traveling. Sometimes we can kind of disqualify women without meaning to, because of our unconscious biases. Fourthly, talking of unconscious bias, this year we are going to be rolling out an L&D series of workshops across the organization to identify our unconscious biases and be more alert and more aware in giving everyone an equal opportunity, whether irrespective of gender, of community, of race, of religion, irrespective. We are very passionate that we want to be a very welcoming culture that welcomes diversity, not just tolerates it, we welcome diversity. Talking about women leaders, we have a women's leadership development program that has identified upcoming leaders, and we offer special inputs. And well, some of the inputs are general, some are special, where you don't need different inputs for women leaders. It's just some of the nuances need to be brought out and discussed. We also have the beginnings of a women's leader network to share, to support one another, inspire one another. We bring in external speakers. Coming back to skilling and reskilling, one of our business divisions, the Global Analytics Center that works very closely with our parent corporation in the US, has some outstanding experiences of developing women leaders. In fact, the business leader in GAC is a leader who's also the head of strategy and a part of our executive committee. So this division has had many successes in developing in skilling, reskilling programs in advanced Excel, Python, R. Also, we have one of our winning nominations for Project Phoenix, which is an extremely high-profile project to take us into skills required for cloud-based computing. The two chief architects were ladies, and they had gone through a rigorous internal program in defined technology. They had combined that with their own e-learning and self-paced learning and applied that at work and distinguished themselves. So we're really extremely enthusiastic about women finding their place in the workplace. And I think it needs to be on record that women do not have an equal place in our culture. Yeah, it starts with the selective killing of the girl child, and it goes on to things like, the boy child will get a full glass of milk, the girl child will get half a glass of milk. Yeah, these are things we know. Education, okay, let the boy go for higher education, the girl has to get married. So I think we need to be pretty clear-eyed and say we need to positively affirm women. We need to create opportunities to encourage them. We need to support them. Of course, ultimately for a promotion or a selection, it is on merit. But we need to make that extra effort to find those candidates and support these candidates. So that's what I would say. And this is the responsibility of every corporate.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, that's a great point, Michael. I think in terms of the responsibility of the corporates, and one of the things that the entire skilling and the World Economic Forum that I referred to actually also talks about the responsibility of the government and various other things. But the one important segment is the business, the corporate entities. Their responsibilities is to, in terms of contributing to this entire aspect of providing skilling and skilling for all. It's for all. And this is where, Michael, your point is, yes, there is something that you might need more for women. It could be for a person with disability as well, right? Where we would not less privileged, and how do we ensure that we are able to provide that equitable opportunities there, Michael? Anshumala, I'm sure Vestas is doing so much great work there. In terms of, I think I also had this casual conversation with you. You spoke about your partnership with the Skill Council of India, some work that you do there. It'd be great if you could share some of your thoughts on that, Anshumala.
Yes. So, yes, we do have this skill council, which is associated with the government of India. So what here we do is we kind of hire on a third party the students who are 10th standard passed out, 12th standard passed out, right? So to develop their career, what we do, we hire them as a fresher, we train them, we make them to understand how our turbines works, right? So they get all kind of functional trainings, and we support government in this side of it. But other than this, we do have some learning academies for blue collar employees or factory employees. Coming to the white collar, Karthik, we do a lot of development for our leaders. There are many different programs which we run it. And there are many comments as what Michael has highlighted, that impactful leadership, unconscious biasness, right? And even we do have this must-win battle. Talent and leadership development is one of the must-win battle strategies for our organization, and it's a global strategy. So it comes top-down approach for all the verticals. And we ensure that when we do some talent development programs, we do have a good amount of percentage of our employees, like 30% of our employees, female employees, women employees, are into this program so that they grow over a period of time and they take this opportunity to become a leader. So we ensure that we have experiential learning for our employees, and they become full-rounded leaders. And for sure, this also results to our internal opportunities, what we have. We try and see that all of our internal fill rate goes first with our internal employees to fill in, right? So that is also our key factor, and that also goes, Michael, in our scorecard. We will look into these aspects, and I think most of our companies are doing this, which is like promoting and taking up a women leaders. Last part, I would like to really say that we do have some programs which is called as Propel Her. And here the beauty is we make our men leaders as ambassadors. They drive these programs, pick women employees. They start talking about their success stories, how they have grown from an individual contributor to a leadership roles. And this brings a lot of knowledge sharing, right? It gives a lot of positivity around the team so that they are encouraged and they have this intelligent courage to take up big steps, right? So these are the couple of initiatives I would like to highlight, Michael and Karthik, which we are really doing good in this side of it.
That's fantastic. Great to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Anshumala. I think one of the things, and I think it's a great opportunity for me also to share from this particular topic. Now we are doing a program called DigiPivot, right? And it's a program that we partner with Google and ISB, and we also have now Hindustan Unilever being part of it, where we are really, through this particular program, skilling women on digital marketing, right? And it's been a great program. We had a huge success the last couple of years. This is the third year that we actually doing, and there's a lot of interest. And this is a program for both, women who are currently working and those who are on career break. The point I'm really looking at it, making is here, is that there is this huge thing that today, as business, where we can actually contribute to this entire aspect of it, right? The entire skilling. And today, what is happening from our learning from this program is really helped all these women to sort of pivot their career. For example, from sales to digital marketing, or actually even move up their own within their own sort of a functional competencies, move up that particular level, and it's been a great success story, right? And so on this particular front, Anshumala and Michael, from your perspective, from your own industries, I just like to know, because you come from different industries, right? What you think are, for example, Michael, to start with you, would be some of the key focus areas from a skilling perspective? What should people prepare themselves for if they are looking at upskilling? What are the areas that you feel that people should focus on, Michael, and specifically women?
Okay. So I think the first thing is to understand within the context of the business and the emerging market situation, what are those skills that are going to be in greater focus and in greater demand? And this would require talking to your manager, talking to people within the organization to understand that and be very clear as to what is the required skill level. I think the second would be to take a very frank look at oneself and do a self-assessment. Currently, we are working with Pluralsight, which is a US-based leading digital skills provider. And we've offered this to all our employees. They have a special program, actually, the summer of technology training program. So there's a skill IQ test at the start of 45 days. Then they open up their e-learning, and you have learning pathways, and you progress in the skill that you want to grow in. Like I registered for Excel skills, very simple. But there's Python, there's R, there's cloud computing, all kinds. And then at the end, there is another skills IQ test, which is a Pluralsight way. But you have Simply Learn, you have many other providers, many who even offer this complementary. Yeah. So I think the first thing is identifying very clearly what is required. Secondly, see what is my own level and capacity. And thirdly, take a decision to invest in this. It could be in my personal time, with my personal money. An opportunity may not be come knocking on my door in the company, but that's where attitude comes in. Yeah, that's where motivation comes in, right? To spend that time, sacrifice on maybe some of the movie time or hanging out with friends on weekends, but make that time and invest in your own skilling. From an organizational point of view, it is very important to provide avenues for that knowledge to become a skill. Because if I, let's say, do the basics of R and Python, but I have no project on which I'm deployed, then I'm never going to build that skill. It's all intellectual knowledge up there. So the learning and the knowledge has to convert into a skill. So there have to be relevant projects available. So if I am a young person, let's say, a girl student or early in the workforce, I need to think, if I'm going to invest in this, how am I going to have an on-the-job or a real-life project to develop the skill? If not, I need to think carefully. Yeah. So that's what I would say as a first cut response. And for ladies in the workforce, I think forming a support network is so useful because they have their own peculiar challenges. Also, I would challenge women employees and students and managers. Step out and make a difference where you are. Sometimes we can be waiting for the organization to be sensitive to our particular needs, but I can be insensitive to the need of another girl or a lady employee in my company. Yeah, and I see that quite often. It's quite amazing. So we are waiting for somebody to reach out to me as a lady, as a woman, but I'm not reaching out to somebody with my capacity. So I think that's very important. Let's each one get involved, each one play a role, and then we can make it a movement. But everyone has to play their role.
Absolutely, Michael. Great point. I think how we actually not about our own learning, how we can help others learn, contribute to the others' growth. Michael, great point, Michael. Anshumala, coming to you. Vestas in the space of engineering and energy, power. Anshumala, where do you think are the skill gap, and where do you think that you're really looking at the kind of skills that Vestas would be very interested in hiring? And it could be technical, functional, behavioral. Where do you see are the opportunities for people to really mold themselves and create an opportunity for themselves to find jobs at Vestas, Anshumala?
Yeah, so in this terms, Karthik, we have guys, we are hiring from a good institutes there, and we have this model. We hire them as a fresher, as an intern. We give them a exposure. So this University Connect is one of the aspect what we are doing it now. And when they come to the system, they mold themselves right according to Vestas way of working, and this gives them an opportunity to really take up a really great opportunities in Vestas. One, and I've been being in this company for some time. I have really good stories around this. That and an employee who starts as a technician with a different skill sets, moving from one vertical to another vertical, acquiring the different functional skills, and now they are full-rounded leaders. A GET joining us goes through a complete training programs, right? and working in different functions, be it an individual contributor, they grow as a specialist or a manager and now heading the team. So it's skilling and upskilling is very critical element, which again, I would say that Michael said that attitude and it all comes with your networking skills, right? How do you network? Speak up. It's a very open culture. If you think that you require or support from your management, speak up and say and talk about your aspirations. I think that is the key element, because sometimes it happens the management is not aware, and not heard. So I think each individual, I would, at least to the participants, I would say that if you have an aspiration to grow, learn and grow, speak up, put it across to your manager, and they can enable or support you for upskilling.
Thank you. Thank you again. Great points, Anshumala. So we're just coming to the close of the session. I think it's been great having this conversation with you. We have the last 2 minutes, couple of minutes there. Any closing remarks from you, Michael and Anshumala, that you would like to share with our participants? Michael, over to you.
Okay, I'd just like to underline the important role of mentors. So I would say this to participants: seek out mentors and be open with them. Incidentally, within CRISIL, we have had 2 iterations of speed mentoring programs. One is internally in a short span of 10 or 15 minutes, receiving inputs, and even externally. So find a mentor, I would say, is the first thing. The second thing would be discover yourself. Understand your passion, your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, and build upon your strengths. The third thing I would say is hang out with the right set of people, not with people who will lead you towards, wasted opportunities or unproductive, activities, but hang out with those who are really committed, really serious, want to make something of their lives, want to add value to society. They have ambitions, and hang out with those people. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Michael. I think that's been very useful, and I'm sure it is going to be. People are going to really look at it and seriously and see how they are really to consider this point shared by you, Michael. Anshumala, your final thoughts on this
Yes.
important topic.
Yeah, for sure. I would encourage our participants to learn from lessons, means from the mistakes. That is your stepping stone, so that you come up with new discovery, right? And you do not do that. And another element would be make yourself visible. Talk about good things, what you have done. And I can tell you that that is also one of my development areas. Make myself visible to people, what I have done. Probably that could be a lessons learned for others, right? So, and thirdly, the most important thing, come out of the comfort zone, challenge yourself every time. Don't take big challenges, split into small challenges, and then you will see that you are learning through your own experiences, right? And for sure, your management is there to support you when you make yourself heard to the management. So these were a couple of things adding to Michael's point, Karthik.
Thank you. It's wonderful hearing you both, and I think from a learning perspective, I think the message that I got is one: have a clear vision, right? What you want to become. Prioritizing becomes very, very important. I think that's the second thing. Third, Michael, you mentioned, the right people, connect with the right people. That's another very important thing. Anshu, you mentioned it's just not about the right people, also build allies, because you're in your career, you're already doing multiple responsibilities. You really need the support of all people, right? Just not the family, it could be your own colleagues actually. Yes. Right. And this is where finding mentors also comes in, your allies who could really guide you. These are some very key learnings for me, and I'm sure for everyone that is there today on the day. So thank you once again, Anshumala, and thank you, Michael, for being here, spending your time, sharing your thoughts and perspectives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Anshumala. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so
Same
much.
here. Thank you.
All the
Bye-bye.
best. Bye-bye.